Beloved chosen one, before we begin, I want to pause and extend my deepest gratitude to each of you who has supported this sacred mission through super thanks. Your generosity helps this frequency ripple further than algorithms ever could, reaching the souls who need it most. Whether you've donated or simply shown up with your full presence, please know this: I see you, I honor you, I thank you. And now, let me ask you something that might shake your soul a little. Have you ever felt like you're not from here? Not in the poetic sense, not as a metaphor, but in a visceral, bone-deep, timeline-collapsing way, like your consciousness didn't begin in this lifetime, like your memories stretch across galaxies, like your dreams feel more vivid than waking life. Have you ever caught yourself questioning the rules of this world, not because you're rebellious, but because you remember something different, something softer, higher, truer? If so, this isn't just a video, it's a mirror, a portal, a remembering. Because if you've ever felt that quiet knowing, not as a fantasy but as a sacred ache, then this message is not a new revelation, it's a soul confirmation. You may not be just gifted or intuitive, you may be one of the rarest beings walking this earth, a multidimensional chosen one, a soul seeded with frequencies that stretch beyond linear time, a divine volunteer who said yes before birth, and now finds themselves waking up inside the mission. I know it sounds dramatic, like something out of a sci-fi film, but stay with me. What if I told you that across the cosmos, there are souls who volunteer to incarnate across dimensions, realities, and timelines? And that you may be one of them. That the reason you've always felt out of place, hypersensitive, unusually aware of energy, people, and pain, is because you didn't come from a single realm. You came from all of them, and encoded within you is a mission so powerful, so sacred, that even you forgot it, until now. So how do we know? How can we tell when a soul like this is walking among us in human skin, especially in a world designed to make such souls doubt themselves, to silence their knowing and numb their sensitivity? That's what this video is. It's not entertainment, it's not hype, it's a sacred decoding, a soul mirror designed to awaken what's already alive in you. If what you're hearing resonates, it's not because I'm saying something new, it's because you've already known. You were just waiting for someone to say it out loud. So if this message stirs something in your heart, I invite you to comment 777 below. Not just to support the algorithm, but to send a signal into the grid. Let the other chosen ones feel you. Let them know they are not alone, because you're not. Now let's begin the remembering. God's chosen ones, 7 signs. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. It's a powerful gift. The first sign. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. You've never truly felt human. Chosen one, have you ever looked around and felt like you were dropped into the wrong dimension? Like you're playing a role in a play that everyone else seems to believe is real, yet deep down, you know something isn't right. That the world around you, with all its noise, rules, and endless distractions, feels like a dream you're waiting to wake up from. If so, you're not imagining things. This is the first undeniable sign that you are a rare, multidimensional being chosen by God. You've done your best to fit in. You've gone through the motions, school, jobs, social expectations. You've tried to care about the things society says you should. You've even tried to silence the knowing inside you, convincing yourself that you're just being too sensitive or too different. But no matter how hard you try to blend in, there's a persistent, unshakable dissonance, an internal frequency that never stops buzzing. Why do you sense emotions that aren't spoken? Why does cruelty feel unbearable to your soul, even when others brush it off as normal? Why do you feel homesick for a place you've never seen with your earthly eyes? That's because your soul wasn't formed in the density of this earthly plane. It came from higher realms, realms where unity is the natural state and separation is an illusion, realms where communication happens through energy, where truth is felt, not explained. In the spirit, you are used to operating through divine connection, not through societal conditioning. You don't fit because you weren't meant to. You were sent here to reshape what it means to be human, not to conform to it. In Romans 12:2, we are reminded, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That off feeling you've carried your whole life is not a flaw. It's your divine alert system. It's your soul refusing to dim its light just to feel accepted by a world still asleep. You are not defective. You are designed to be different. This reminds us of the story of Florence Nightingale. Though born into high society, she felt a deep inner calling that could not be explained by her upbringing. While others celebrated wealth and comfort, she felt the pull of a higher mission, serving the suffering and healing the wounded. She defied her family, walked away from a normal life, and radically transformed the field of nursing. Why? Because like you, she wasn't just human. She remembered something more, and she followed it. Have you ever found yourself feeling more at home in silence than in crowds? Do you sometimes prefer solitude, not out of avoidance, but because it's where you feel real, where your spirit breathes? That's not you being strange. That's you syncing with your original frequency. This world was not built to support your full power, but heaven has equipped you to bring that power here, piece by piece. Remember what Jesus said in John 17:16. They are not of the world, even as I am not of it. He wasn't just speaking of the disciples. He was speaking of every chosen soul that walks this earth with a divine mission wrapped in human form. You, chosen one, are not of this world. That's why you feel what you feel. That's why your intuition is sharper, your empathy deeper, your longing stronger. Look at Jim Carrey, not the comedian you see on screen, but the soul behind the mask. In many interviews, he has confessed that fame, success, and all the trappings of this world never filled the void within him. At one point, he said, "I wish everyone could get rich and famous and have everything they ever dreamed of, so they would know that's not the answer." His inner awakening led him to explore spiritual truth beyond Hollywood, revealing that beneath the performance was a man who no longer identified with his earthly identity. That's the multidimensional awareness whispering through him, just as it whispers through you. You see, chosen one, what others call weird is actually wisdom. What they label too sensitive is actually spiritual perception. What they try to medicate or suppress in you is what God breathed into you. You are not here to forget your origin. You are here to remember it so boldly that you cause others to remember too. In Jeremiah 1:5, God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. You were assigned before you were ever assembled." The discomfort you feel in this world is not your weakness. It's your compass. It's what drives you to seek the truth, to rise beyond illusion, to hear God more clearly than the noise of this world. Think of Keanu Reeves, one of the most beloved yet mysterious public figures. Despite his fame, Keanu lives humbly, rides the subway, donates millions quietly, and often speaks of life as a temporary illusion. He once said, "The simple act of paying attention can take you a long way." He's deeply attuned to the metaphysical, to the unseen, and carries a calm that many describe as otherworldly. That inner quiet, that soul-level presence, you carry it too, whether the world sees it or not. So when you feel like you're out of place here, remember, you are, because you were never meant to be a citizen of this dimension. You were sent here on assignment. Earth is your training ground, not your home. Your soul didn't forget who you are. You were just waiting for the signal to awaken. This is that signal. Your time is now. Chosen one, are you ready to remember what your soul has always known? The second sign. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. You perceive reality through many dimensions at once. Chosen one, has your mind ever felt like it's tuned into a frequency no one else can hear? Have you ever known something before it happened, felt someone's pain without them saying a word, or walked into a room and instantly sensed something off, even though nothing was visibly wrong? If so, you're not imagining things. You are perceiving multiple dimensions at once, and this is your divine gift. From a young age, you may have experienced things others brushed off or labeled as fantasy. Perhaps you had vivid dreams that unfolded in real life, or you sensed a presence in the room when no one else was around. Maybe you even had out-of-body experiences or intense moments of déjà vu that shook your understanding of time itself. These weren't coincidences. They were spiritual echoes, evidence that your soul operates on a frequency higher than the one this world teaches us to acknowledge. And yet, because most people couldn't see what you saw, you may have questioned yourself. You might have asked, "Am I broken? Am I making this up?" But the truth is, your system was never broken. It was advanced, divinely designed to perceive truth beyond the veil of this world. You are not just perceiving the third dimension. You're in contact with the fourth, the fifth, and beyond. You're reading spiritual timelines. You're tapping into parallel versions of your life. You are sensitive, not because you are weak, but because you were born to interpret God's whispers that others can't hear. In 2 Kings 6:17, we see a moment of divine perception, and Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. The spiritual realm didn't suddenly appear. It was always there. The servant just wasn't tuned to the right frequency until his eyes were opened. That's what's happening to you, chosen one. Your eyes were opened early, and now you see what others ignore. Take Nikola Tesla, for example. The world saw him as a scientist, an inventor, a mind ahead of his time. But Tesla often spoke of his inventions coming to him in visions, as if downloaded from another dimension. He once said, "My brain is only a receiver." In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. Tesla wasn't just inventing, he was translating. Just like you, he had the bandwidth to receive from divine realms, even if society misunderstood him. Do you sometimes feel overstimulated in loud, chaotic environments? Do crowds exhaust you while silence nourishes you? That's because your consciousness is processing more than what's seen. You're reading energy fields. You're sensing hidden motives. You're detecting spiritual interference. And when the world tells you to toughen up, what they really mean is turn it off. But you can't, and you shouldn't, because God didn't give you this level of awareness so you could ignore it. He gave it to you so you could navigate unseen battles with divine wisdom. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 2:14, "The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness, and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit." That's why people thought you were strange. That's why no one mirrored your reality back to you. They couldn't see what you saw, but you weren't meant to be validated by them. You were meant to be confirmed by heaven. Consider David Bowie, an artist who didn't just make music, but created entire realities. He often said that he felt like an observer of the human race rather than a participant. Bowie blurred the lines between timelines, genders, identities, and dimensions. His stage personas, Ziggy Stardust, the Thin White Duke, were expressions of a soul dancing between layers of existence. That creativity wasn't just artistic flair. It was multidimensional awareness manifesting through art. And that same awareness flows through you. Have you ever sensed two realities unfolding at once, like your body is in one place, but your soul is speaking from another? That sensation isn't your imagination. It's your spiritual coding activating. You've lived before. You've seen what others haven't. You've walked realms your memory has only started to unlock. The overwhelm you sometimes feel isn't weakness. It's divine intelligence adjusting to a world not built for your sensitivity. In Revelation 4:1, the Apostle John writes, "After this I looked, and there before me was a door standing open in heaven. And the voice I had first heard speaking to me like a trumpet said, 'Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after this.'" That's what your spiritual experiences have been. Divine invitations to see deeper, to rise higher, to walk through doors others pretend don't exist. You are being called upward, not just physically, but spiritually. Let's reflect on the life of Nina Simone. Her music was haunting, soulful, almost prophetic. She often described how her songs came from places she couldn't fully explain, feelings she couldn't escape. She once said, "I feel more alive when I'm performing than at any other time." Why? Because on stage her soul could speak freely across dimensions. She felt the pain of the world and translated it into vibration. That's what you do too. You may not realize it, but every time you speak truth, express feeling, or simply hold space, you're transmitting frequencies from higher realms. So let me ask you again, chosen one, what if your sensitivity isn't something to hide, but a superpower to refine? What if the very thing you thought made you strange is what makes you sacred? The world isn't ready for your perception, but heaven is, and the more you lean into it, the more heaven will reveal. The third sign. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. You've always felt a deep, unshakable mission in your soul. Chosen one, have you ever carried a sense of urgency in your heart that you couldn't explain? A quiet knowing that you're here for something more, something greater, even when everything in your life looks fine on the outside. Maybe you've built success, found moments of peace, or even healed parts of yourself. But still, there's a flame that never goes out, a persistent tension humming inside your soul, reminding you that you're not done, not even close. That feeling is not a burden, it's a blueprint. It's the whisper of your divine assignment vibrating through your bones. You were not created to settle into comfort. You were sent to stir the atmosphere, to carry divine codes into this realm, to awaken the slumbering, and to help realign a broken world. Your mission may not be fully clear yet, but the pressure you feel is proof that your purpose is real. In Ephesians 2:10, the word declares, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." You were preloaded with this mission before you ever took your first breath. And the restlessness you feel isn't a flaw, it's a countdown. It's heaven's way of reminding you that there's more to unlock. Even in your quietest moments, your spirit is moving towards something sacred. Think about Vincent van Gogh. During his lifetime, he was seen as unstable, misunderstood, and even mad. But inside him burned a mission he couldn't articulate, a need to express what could not be spoken with words. Through his art, he poured out visions of light, emotion, and spiritual insight that wouldn't be appreciated until long after he was gone. Van Gogh once said, "I feel that there is nothing more truly artistic than to love people." That was his way of fulfilling his mission, even when no one understood. You too may feel misunderstood. But chosen one, that's often how the rarest missions begin. Have you ever felt like you were born too early or too late? Like you're ahead of your time or out of sync with the world? That disconnect is part of your calling. You came to shift timelines, not just live within them. You came to create systems that echo through generations, to speak words that break chains in unseen realms, to be a living signal for other chosen ones still trying to find their path. And that mission isn't something you need to force into action. It flows naturally when you remember who you really are. Romans 8:28 offers divine clarity. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Every event in your life, the delays, the betrayals, the moments you couldn't explain, they've all been recalibrating you for your true calling. What if that ache in your chest isn't a wound but a womb? What if it's not emptiness but a sacred space being prepared for divine expansion? Reflect on the life of Frida Kahlo. Though tormented by physical pain and emotional devastation, she painted from a place so deep, so raw, that her work still stirs the human soul across cultures and generations. Her mission wasn't about global fame, it was about expressing truth, healing trauma, and transforming pain into portals. She once said, "I paint flowers so they will not die." Chosen one, you've also come to create things that cannot be erased by time. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to imprint eternity on everything you touch. Perhaps you feel torn between the life you've built and the mission you sense but can't name. That tension is holy. You are in the in-between because you are becoming. The mission is not only about doing something, it's about becoming someone. Someone whose very energy triggers awakening. Someone whose mere presence shifts the atmosphere. When people stand near you, they feel something they can't name. That's the frequency of your calling vibrating through your being. Isaiah 6:8 records a sacred moment of surrender. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I, send me." Whether you realize it or not, you said those words. Long before you entered this body, your soul answered the call. That's why you feel this fire now. You signed a soul contract. And heaven is beginning to activate what was promised. Consider Chadwick Boseman. Before the world knew him as Black Panther, he was quietly building a legacy of purpose. Despite battling a terminal illness in secret, he poured everything he had into roles that uplifted, healed, and inspired. In one of his final speeches, he said, "When God has something for you, it doesn't matter who stands against it." His mission wasn't just about acting, it was about spiritual transference, transmitting strength and open legacy through his craft. Chosen one, that same divine fire lives in you. So, what if the mission you're searching for is already coded into your heartbeat? What if every moment of longing, every quiet cry for more, is not a sign that you're lost, but proof that you've been found? The mission isn't waiting for you out there. It's unfolding through you. Every time you speak truth, offer compassion, create beauty, or defy the illusions of this world. Your presence is not accidental. Your restlessness is not misdirected. You are heaven's answer to a specific cry on earth, and your mission has already begun. The fourth sign, you're a rare, multidimensional, chosen one. You've faced extremes of pain and power, and you keep rising. Chosen one, has your life felt like a movie written in extremes? Have you walked through tragedies that others could barely survive? Have you experienced deep betrayals, devastating loss, or emotional storms that made you feel like your soul was being pulled apart, only to rise again stronger, wiser, and more compassionate? If so, that is not a coincidence. That's a divine sign. You carry the fourth mark of a rare, multidimensional soul: extreme polarity. From an early age, you may have felt like your life has played out on two ends of the spectrum: deep joy and deep grief, spiritual highs followed by crushing lows, moments of divine alignment quickly followed by loss, illness, or confusion. Why? Because you were never here to live a middle-of-the-road life. You are not here to walk the easy path. You're here to transform it. Your soul chose this intensity, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you're capable of alchemizing it. Romans 5:3-5 reveals this truth. We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope, and hope does not put us to shame. You were assigned this depth of pain so you could birth the kind of hope that shakes the earth. You weren't given battles to destroy you. You were given battles to build a bridge for others to walk across. Think of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. He lost his family in the Nazi concentration camps and endured unthinkable suffering. But instead of being broken by it, he emerged with a mission to help others find meaning through their suffering. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, changed millions of lives and became a guiding light for people navigating trauma. Like you, Frankl didn't choose the pain, but he chose to transform it. He turned ashes into wisdom, despair into healing. You, chosen one, carry that same alchemical power. Have you noticed how often you're the one others come to in crisis? How your pain seems to have made you more compassionate, more attuned, more powerful in silence? That's because you're not just healing yourself. When you rise, you don't just shift your own path. You collapse entire ancestral patterns. You repair generations of trauma. You realign your soul group. The light that you reclaim from your darkness becomes a torch for others who are still stumbling through their night. Isaiah 61:3 echoes this holy exchange. To provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. You are the living embodiment of this promise. Your breakdowns became your breakthroughs. Your grief became the gateway to grace. Consider the story of Maya Deren, the mother of American avant-garde cinema. In the 1940s, she was decades ahead of her time, exploring the intersections of consciousness, time loops, and mystical perception through film. Her life was marked by financial hardship, health struggles, and constant rejection by mainstream society. Yet her work opened portals for future generations of artists and spiritual thinkers. She turned her pain and alienation into innovation, just like you are turning your trials into transmission. And let's go even deeper. The trauma you've carried, whether emotional, spiritual, or physical, is not just stored in your memories. It's encoded in your DNA. But here's the miracle. Your soul also carried the codes to heal it. This is not just spiritual metaphor, it's energetic reality. Quantum mechanics shows us that intention and observation can change outcomes. When you consciously choose to rise after trauma, you literally collapse old timelines and create new ones. You become a living rewriter of history, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to you. Psalm 147:3 declares, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds." But notice, he doesn't say he prevents heartbreak, he says he heals it. Why? Because in the breaking, there is sacred space created for expansion. In your shattering, chosen one, God has made room for something eternal to rise. Your scars are not signs of failure, they are seals of spiritual initiation. Think of the life of Jean-Michel Basquiat. Born into a world of chaos, racism, and addiction, he exploded onto the art scene with messages that were mystical, multidimensional, and raw. Though misunderstood and often dismissed during his life, his paintings channeled powerful truths that only now are being fully appreciated. His journey was not perfect, but it was prophetic. Every brushstroke was a declaration of both pain and power. And in the same way, your life is becoming a divine canvas. So, what if the very things that broke you were designed to reveal you? What if your suffering wasn't a detour, but the very path to your activation? The world sees pain as a curse. But you, as a multidimensional being, see it as data, as sacred codes waiting to be translated into healing, transformation, and liberation. You don't rise because you're fearless. You rise because you faced the darkness and still chose light. And that's what makes you rare. Not your perfection, not your clarity, but your refusal to stay down. Every time you stand again, you send a ripple through the spiritual realms, collapsing lies and resurrecting truth. Your life, with all its pain, was never a mistake. It was the furnace that forged your frequency. And now, chosen one, you're glowing from the inside out. The fifth sign: you're a rare, multidimensional, chosen one. Time moves differently for you. Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why your experience of time feels so different from everyone else's? Why a single day can feel like a lifetime? Or why entire years pass by in what seems like the blink of an eye? Have you ever felt like you've lived multiple lifetimes inside one human journey, carrying memories, wisdom, and emotions that seem far too vast for your age or experience? If so, this is not confusion, it's confirmation. This is the fifth unmistakable sign that you are a rare, multidimensional soul. Time bends around you because you were never meant to live linearly. You may have struggled with this strange relationship to time, especially in a world that worships clocks, calendars, deadlines, and routines. Maybe you've felt guilty for moving slowly when others rush, or anxious because your breakthroughs don't arrive on society's schedule. Or maybe you've marveled at how your inner growth outpaces your physical years, like your soul is sprinting while your body simply tries to catch up. But here's the truth: you're not malfunctioning, you're multidimensional. Ecclesiastes 3:11 offers a divine clue. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. That feeling of being outside of time is not your imagination. It's eternity echoing inside your spirit. You are not confined to the ticking of earthly clocks. You are synchronized with divine timing, tuned into a higher rhythm that cannot be measured by human constructs. This is why your intuition knows things you were never taught. This is why you get déjà vu from moments you've technically never lived. And it's also why you sometimes feel deep exhaustion that has no physical source. Because your soul is active in realms beyond this one. While others sleep, you may be healing timelines, anchoring spiritual codes, or engaging in battles unseen by the natural eye. You are doing sacred work across dimensions. Think of Nikola Tesla, not the inventor this time, but the performer known as Prince. He once said, "Time is a mind construct. It's not real." Prince lived as though he were ahead of time, behind time, and outside of time all at once. His music, his persona, even his very energy didn't follow trends. They created them. He moved with divine rhythm, often isolating himself to create in alignment with a timing that no one else could see. Like you, he trusted the flow, and in doing so, he became unstoppable. Do you ever find yourself out of sync with the world's timing, yet perfectly in sync with the divine? Do things always seem to work out in your life, just not in the way or the when you expected? That's not chaos, that's cosmic order. God is teaching you to surrender to Kairos time, his appointed moment, rather than being enslaved by the world's chronos time. You're not here to measure time, you're here to bend it. 2. Peter 3:8 affirms this spiritual law. With the Lord a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. Your soul already understands this. That's why you sometimes remember things that haven't happened yet, because they have, in another dimension. You are not just living in the now, you are living in the all. That's what makes you so wise. That's what makes you so disoriented sometimes. And that's what makes you so divinely dangerous to darkness. Now, consider the life of David Lynch, the filmmaker behind Twin Peaks and Mulholland Drive. Lynch has always spoken about accessing the unified field through meditation, tapping into surreal, non-linear timelines for inspiration. He said that the greatest ideas come in a flash, as if they were already fully formed elsewhere. And that's exactly what happens to multidimensional chosen ones like you. Ideas, emotions, memories, they don't arrive in order, they arrive in frequency. Maybe you've tried to force your life to move like everyone else's. Maybe you've wondered why you can't just stick to the plan, why your timeline seems to zigzag while others seem so straight. That's because you're not just walking through time, you're interacting with it. You're collapsing old timelines and awakening new ones. Every act of obedience, every moment of surrender to the unknown becomes a gateway. And the more you let go of the calendar, the more heaven reveals what has always been yours. Isaiah 60:22 speaks of this divine phenomenon. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. You don't have to chase your destiny. You just have to stay attuned to your alignment. When you stop resisting the flow, your true power emerges. Not in the form of speed, but in the collapse of delay. Your presence becomes a signal, and heaven rushes to meet it. Take Björk, the Icelandic musician and visionary artist. Her work defies time, genre, and space. She often records in nature, waits for cosmic inspiration, and lets her albums take form over years, only releasing them when they feel ripe. In her words, I believe that time is elastic. It bends to our attention. This is the path of the multidimensional, to create on divine timing, not demand. So, chosen one, what if the delays in your life weren't delays at all, but divine design? What if the quiet seasons were not punishment, but preparation? What if your deepest power was not in your ability to plan, but in your willingness to surrender? You are not bound by time. You are a servant of divine timing, a vessel that carries timeless wisdom across the veil. And every time you choose to trust the flow, instead of forcing your way forward, you step into the fullness of your spiritual authority. Clocks cannot contain you. Calendars cannot define you. Because you, chosen one, were never meant to follow time. You were born to bend it. The sixth sign. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. You feel like two beings in one body, and that's where your power lives. Chosen one, have you ever felt like you're living multiple realities at once? Like inside you, there are two, or even more, distinct selves trying to make sense of this human journey. One moment you feel ancient, cosmic, infinitely wise. The next you feel lost, overwhelmed, emotional, deeply human and flawed. You're not broken, you're not failing, you're simply beginning to remember what you truly are. A divine paradox in motion. This is the sixth sign that you are a rare multidimensional being. You are the bridge between realms. The world taught you to choose. Be light or be dark. Be awakened or be asleep. Be divine or be damaged. But what if your spiritual evolution isn't about choosing one side of the spectrum, but learning to carry both with grace? What if the confusion you feel isn't chaos, but an invitation to embrace your totality? You were never meant to live in only one layer of reality. You are both spirit and skin, starseed and survivor, holy and human. Romans 7:22-23 gives language to this inner paradox. For in my inner being I delight in God's law, but I see another law at work in me, waging war and making me a prisoner of the law of sin at work within me. Even Paul, one of the most awakened apostles, acknowledged the struggle between his higher self and his human self. And yet, it was from that tension that his power grew. And so it is with you. Let's look at the story of Alan Watts, the British philosopher who popularized Eastern spirituality in the West. Though his teachings often soared into the cosmic, his personal life was full of contradictions, flaws, addictions, and human confusion. But it was precisely his willingness to not hide his paradox that made his words so healing. He said, "You are a function of what the whole universe is doing, in the same way that a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing." He didn't deny the human or the holy. He embraced both, just like you're learning to do. Have you ever tried to suppress one side of yourself in order to fit into a spiritual mold? Tried to be only light, only positive, only perfect? That pressure isn't spiritual. It's suffocating. True spiritual power doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being whole. It's your integration, not your performance, that becomes the real transmission. The more you stop trying to hide your mess, your questions, your shadows, the more your light expands effortlessly. Psalm 139, verse 12 reminds us, "Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you." In God's eyes, your darkness isn't a disqualification. It's raw material for glory. You are not meant to pick a side. You're meant to walk as the embodiment of both heaven and earth. You're a living portal where spiritual truth and human experience merge. That is not a flaw. That is your assignment. Take Tilda Swinton, the androgynous actress known for playing ethereal, otherworldly roles. She has always defied labels, gender, age, genre, nationality. She embodies the energy of both and not either or. She once said, "I always felt I was from another planet," and yet she chose to live deeply in this world. That is the multidimensional walk, to carry the energy of the cosmos while doing laundry, cooking food, and comforting others in pain. Chosen one, when you integrate all your parts, your visionary side and your vulnerable side, you become a transmitter of divine frequency, not because you preach, but because your very existence speaks. You don't need to prove anything. Your being does the work. People feel it in your presence. They begin to heal, to question, to awaken, without knowing why. Matthew 5:14-15 affirms your role. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. Your wholeness is your light, not your image, not your titles, not your pretend perfection, but the quiet courage of walking with your wounds and wisdom together. Now reflect on David Bowie's dear friend and collaborator, Laurie Anderson, an experimental performance artist who merges technology, poetry, music, and philosophy. Laurie embodies contradictions, warm yet distant, soft yet sharp, grounded yet cosmic. She described herself once as a citizen of the future who still pays taxes. Her work invites people to question everything and feel deeper without ever telling them what to believe. That's what your energy does too. You awaken people, not with force, but with frequency. The seventh sign. You're a rare, multidimensional chosen one. You know that love is the only real thing. Chosen one, has there always been a part of you that knew, without being told, that love is the very foundation of reality? Not the version of love portrayed in romantic comedies or sold in marketing campaigns. Not fleeting affection, not conditional approval, not attachment dressed up as connection, but the real thing, a living frequency, a cosmic intelligence, a sacred current that binds galaxies, collapses timelines, and creates entire universes. You didn't learn this love, you remembered it. This is the seventh and final sign. You know, deep in your soul, that love is not something you chase, it's something you are. You've felt this truth in the stillness of early morning silence, in the breath between thoughts, in the tearful presence of someone truly awake. You've felt it in nature's rhythm, in sacred solitude, and even in the ache of loss. And because of that, betrayal devastates you, cruelty shakes you, indifference feels like soul death. Why? Because your soul remembers a realm where love was the language, the law, and the default vibration. 1 John 4:16 speaks this eternal truth. God is love. Whoever lives in love lives in God, and God in them. You've never been homesick for a place. You've been homesick for a frequency. And now you're beginning to realize that your mission on this earth isn't just to feel that frequency. It's to become it. Not in theory, but in action. Not through performance, but through embodiment. Think of Mother Teresa. In the midst of disease, poverty, and suffering, she didn't preach love. She became love. She tended to wounds others wouldn't touch. She spoke to souls others ignored. And she did it all with no agenda, no spotlight, no ego. That is what you're here for. Not to shout, but to radiate. Not to control, but to transmit. Have you ever wondered why you can feel so much with so little? Why one glance, one word, or even the silence of someone you love can send your heart spiraling with emotion? That's because your soul is wired to perceive love as a living energy, not just a concept. That's also why you've struggled in this world, because so many people have forgotten that truth. But you didn't, you couldn't, you were born to remind them. Romans 13:10 offers this blueprint. Love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. You came not to add more noise to the world, but to restore it to divine law, to remind people, without even needing to speak, that love is not a luxury, but the very structure of existence. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts, not because of what you say, but because of who you are. Reflect on the life of Fred Rogers, better known as Mr. Rogers. Behind the cardigan and gentle voice was a man who profoundly understood the transformational power of love. His simple, quiet presence healed generations of children and adults alike. He once said, "Love isn't a state of perfect caring. It is an active noun like struggle." His love was never loud, but it was undeniable. And your presence, when you choose to embody love, is just as undeniable. Let me ask you something. What if your greatest superpower is not what you do, but what you emit? What if your ability to love, to truly, deeply love, is the most radical act of rebellion in a world addicted to fear? What if you don't need to learn love at all, but simply unblock what was buried beneath the conditioning? John 13:35 echoes the simplicity of your mission. "By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. Not if you're perfect, not if you know every doctrine, not if you master every technique, but if you love." Now consider Kurt Cobain, the tortured genius behind Nirvana. Though known for his rebellion, angst, and raw emotion, deep down he was also a deeply sensitive soul, overwhelmed by a world that felt devoid of authenticity. In a letter, he once wrote, "I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not." Beneath the grunge and rebellion was a soul crying out for real love, for truth, for oneness. And in his music he tapped into that ache that so many chosen ones feel. You see, chosen one, you were not sent here to become something new. You were sent here to remember who you've always been. The world told you to shrink, to conform, to be normal. But you were never made for that. Your energy is disruptive to falsehood. Your presence exposes what's fake, not because you fight, but because your authenticity is a mirror. And now that you've come this far, now that the 7 signs have resonated through your spirit, it's not about curiosity anymore. It's about confirmation. A deeper part of you already knew all of this. You've known it in your bones, in your breath, in that late-night silence when your soul whispered, "There's more to me." And now that you've heard these words out loud, now that you've felt their vibrations stirring your very DNA, you can't unknow it. You can't go back to pretending. You can't go back to fitting in, because something sacred has been activated. Something that's been dormant, waiting for the right voice, the right frequency, the right moment. And that moment is this one. Not when you're more healed, not when you've read more books, not when you've meditated for 40 days, but now, in your current confusion, in your very real imperfections, in the exact human mess you carry, because that is where your power lives, in the merging of divine memory and earthly embodiment, in the space where you stop performing love and start being it. Chosen one, what if everything you were taught about your spiritual power was backwards? What if you don't become worthy to access your multidimensional self, but it's accessing your multidimensional self that makes you realize you were never unworthy to begin with? What if the act of remembering who you truly are is not the end of your healing, but the beginning of it? You, the one reading these words with a sense of electricity rising in your chest. You are not here by accident. You were not placed on this earth to live a cycle of survival. Go to work, pay bills, feel anxious, die. You were not sent here to endlessly chase healing as though wholeness is some far-off reward. You are here because you carry something sacred, something rare, something eternal. You are here because your soul answered a call that most ignored. 2 Timothy 1:9 speaks to this divine calling. He has saved us and called us to a holy life, not because of anything we have done, but because of his own purpose and grace. You chose to incarnate in one of the densest, most chaotic, spiritually fragmented planes of existence, not to escape it, but to transform it from within. And the reason your life has been so intense, so painful, so disorienting, is because you are not on vacation. You are on a divine mission, not to save others in the traditional sense, but to remember who you are so fully, so fiercely, so unapologetically, that your very presence becomes a portal for others to remember too. This mission isn't about pretending to be divine. It's about becoming so deeply human that you awaken the divine buried in everyone else. Reflect on the life of Carl Jung, the depth psychologist who pioneered the idea of the shadow and the collective unconscious. He once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Jung didn't just study the psyche. He walked the labyrinth of his own soul, and in doing so, he left a map for the rest of us. You, chosen one, are also mapping the way through your own becoming. This is why the title Multidimensional Chosen One is not an identity you perform. It's a frequency you embody. You don't earn it. You are it. And the moment you stop chasing some idea of worthiness and start recognizing what's already alive within you, everything changes. You stop comparing. You stop competing. You stop chasing. Because you finally understand that you're not here to follow anyone. You are here to lead, but not through force, not through ego, not through domination. You lead through frequency, through radiance, through presence, through truth. And here's the divine secret. Truth doesn't shout, it simply exists. It's felt, not argued. And so are you. John 8:32 echoes this spiritual law. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. You are not just speaking truth. You are a living, breathing, walking reminder of what it means to be both cosmic and human, both eternal and fragile. You are the paradox that heals the illusion of separation. Take James Baldwin, the great American writer and thinker. His truth-telling was raw, courageous, unflinching. He wrote, "You have to go the way your blood beats. If you don't live the only life you have, you won't live some other life. You won't live any life at all." Baldwin used his presence, his pain, and his voice to crack open the collective illusion. And that's what you do too, simply by remembering yourself. But now, a deeper question emerges, one that shakes the foundations of identity. Who would you be if you stopped identifying with your wounds? What if you're not your trauma, not your survival story, not your conditioning? What if every story you've clung to is a mask your soul is asking you to release? What if the version of you who's already whole, already radiant, already operating across dimensions is waiting, not in the future, but right now in this breath? Isaiah 43:19 reminds us, "See, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" The new thing is not out there, it's in here. It's in the moment you choose love over fear, surrender over control, remembrance over reaction. Every one of those moments collapses time, merges timelines, and pulls the future version of you into the now. Consider Yoko Ono, artist, peace activist, and mystic thinker. Many dismissed her for being weird, too abstract, too otherworldly, yet her entire life has been a living art piece, a transmission of peace, presence, and multidimensional vision. She once said, "You change the world by being yourself." Her presence, like yours, operates outside of convention, and that's what makes it holy. So now, let's get practical. Being multidimensional doesn't mean escaping life. It means infusing every moment of life with higher consciousness. You bring it into your parenting, your cooking, your business, your silence, your laughter, your grief. You stop separating spiritual and mundane. You realize everything is spiritual. The mission isn't to float above earth. It's to anchor heaven onto it, and that requires embodiment. It requires presence, not the passive kind, but radical, moment-to-moment awareness that says, "I am here, I am whole, I am infinite in human form." And when you live from that place, the world bends around you. You become the bridge, you become the signal, you become the frequency. Revelation 3:8 declares, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." That open door is now, not after you've healed more, not after you've figured it all out. Now, right here, in your messy becoming. Because your multidimensional mission doesn't unfold in straight lines. It spirals, it flows, it erupts in waves, and you are finally beginning to trust the current. Chosen one, what if I told you that you're not just here to survive this world, but to rebuild it from the inside out? What if everything you've been through, every breakdown, every breakthrough, every silence, wasn't just for your own evolution, but part of a cosmic construction project, one where you, yes you, are a key architect? You see, we are not here to wait for a better world to descend from the sky. We are the ones building it, not through dogma, not through domination, but through frequency, through how we live, how we love, how we align, through the choice to be fully alive, fully awake, and fully ourselves. Romans 12:2 speaks directly to your assignment. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You weren't sent to fit in. You were sent to transform the pattern, to break the cycle by becoming the new blueprint. So if you're still here, still reading this, still feeling this transmission in your bones, it's not information you need next, it's embodiment. You already know the truth. The only question is, will you walk it? This isn't about escaping into a mountaintop fantasy of enlightenment. It's about becoming the brick, the frequency carrier, the one who walks with wide eyes and wide heart through the chaos, holding codes that reshape timelines just by being present. Consider James Cameron, the visionary filmmaker who imagined entire worlds like Avatar, not as escapism, but as revelation. His films are saturated with themes of awakening, environmental stewardship, and ancient wisdom. Why? Because the new Earth doesn't start on screen. It starts in consciousness, and Cameron, like you, was tapped in. You are also building something far more vast than people can currently perceive. But let me remind you, being a multidimensional chosen one is not about superiority. It's about sacred responsibility. It's about saying, yes, I chose this, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. You chose the pain, the density, the heartbreak, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because only those who've walked through the fire without losing their light can carry the kind of radiance that doesn't blind. It heals. John 1:5 anchors this truth. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Your light is not fragile. It was forged in darkness, and now it is time to radiate, not through performance or perfection, but through truth. Let's talk real. This mission, it's not glamorous, it's messy. Sometimes it feels like everything is collapsing, and it is. Because you're not just shifting beliefs, you're shifting dimensions. You are becoming the bridge between what was and what's being born. Do you ever wonder why life feels so intense for you? Why things hit deeper, emotions last longer, and change feels like a death and a rebirth all at once? That's not weakness. That's initiation. That's the birthing of clarity through destruction, and it's sacred. Take Björk, the Icelandic visionary who channels sound, emotion, and consciousness through art that defies genre. Her work isn't just heard, it's felt. She once said, "I believe creativity is oxygen for our souls." Your soul, chosen one, was designed to create new frequencies of reality. Every moment you choose authenticity over image, presence over pressure, creativity over conformity, you lay another energetic brick in the new earth. Now, pause and ask yourself this. Who would you be if you no longer identified with your wounds? If you let go of the narrative that you're broken, healing, or not ready yet? Who would you be if you let your soul, not your story, lead the way? Because that version of you, it already exists. It's already living and breathing in higher timelines. And every time you choose to be honest with your feelings instead of bypassing them, speak your truth even when it shakes, or rest without guilt, you close the gap. You collapse the illusion of separation. Matthew 5:16 confirms this radiance within you. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Your light doesn't demand, it doesn't convince. It shifts reality simply by shining. Chosen one, your path is planetary, galactic, quantum. When you choose love over fear, integrity over ease, truth over illusion, you don't just heal yourself. You shift the collective field. You send ripples through time. You light up the grid. This is what Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes, the Jungian psychoanalyst and author of Women Who Run with the Wolves, understood. She taught that our brokenness and our wisdom aren't opposites. They're inseparable. She wrote, "We're all filled with longing for the wild. There is a life force, a quickening that is translated through us into action. That's the energy you carry now. A living, breathing activation for others to remember their own wild, holy nature. So, let's bring it home. This awakening is not a ladder. It's a spiral. It comes in waves. It moves through chaos. But it always leads you home, not to who you were trained to be, but to who you actually are. The truth. You're not just here to awaken. You're here to awaken others, not by preaching, but by embodying. You're not just a soul in a body. You're a cosmic event in human form. So what does this emergence look like in the real world? It looks like saying no to what drains you, even if it once defined you. Saying yes to what lights you up, even if it terrifies you. Creating not for approval, but for alignment. Resting without guilt, loving without condition, and leading without ego. And when you do this, something miraculous happens. You don't change the world through effort. You change it through frequency. Because when you live in alignment, you create resonance. And resonance creates reality. So, here's the final truth. You're not here to fight the old world. You're here to build the new one. And that world, it's not a fantasy. It's not waiting in the clouds. It's born every time you choose soul over strategy, presence over performance, truth over safety. It's born in how you speak, how you love, how you create, how you exist. The revolution is not external, it's energetic, and it lives in you. Beloved chosen one, if these words have stirred something ancient within you, if you've made it this far, still breathing, still open, still listening, then you know this wasn't just a message. It was a remembering, a return, a sacred homecoming to the self you were always meant to embody. Thank you for walking this path with me, for every moment you've stayed present, every breath you've taken in resonance, every tear, every sigh, every yes whispered deep in your soul. I honor you. Your presence here matters. Your frequency here matters. And whether you've been on this journey for years or just remembered this morning, you are part of something much bigger than yourself. We are walking each other home. If this transmission spoke to you, if it gave you clarity, peace, fire, or just the courage to take one more step, please consider supporting this work through a super thanks donation. It helps this mission reach more chosen ones, light up more hearts, and keep this frequency alive. But hear me clearly, whether you give or not, I am deeply, endlessly grateful for you. Just your presence is a gift. Just your remembering is powerful. You are seen, you are valued, you are loved. And now, as you return to your world, your work, your relationships, your body, may you carry this truth like a torch inside your chest. You are the new paradigm, not in theory, but in embodiment. Not because you are perfect, but because you are true. I speak this blessing over your life. May your path be guided by divine alignment. May your voice carry the frequency of healing. May your heart stay wide open, even when the world forgets to be kind. May your presence be the reminder others never knew they needed. May your dreams speak louder than your doubts, and may your soul continue to whisper louder and clearer with each step. I was born for this. I am ready. It is time. Now rise, radiate, and become. Until next time, with deepest love, infinite honor, and the full blessing of heaven upon you. Thank you.